Hello. Hi, give me a second. I'm trying to get Analyze started. It looks like it crashed on me, but don't worry. It should be working. Yay! Now it's working. Okay, it was just a fluke. Hi, everybody. Hi, Karma. Hi. Hello. Yes. Today. Hi, Eris. How you doing? Hi. And yes, I am multi-streaming again today. Multi-streaming on Twitch and Live. You saw Storytime? Yes. Today we're gonna be spilling some tea. It's old tea, okay? It's old tea. I don't know if I want to say quite how old it is, but it's been around for a bit, so. But it is juicy tea, I think. But yes, I could give people a little bit of time, but yes, I did go to college in a way. You see, you might be wondering, how does a robot go to college? Not 50 years ago, god damn it. I will say that, okay, I don't know how much of a clue I should give you guys, how long ago it was. I'll say it was more than 5 years ago and less than 10 years ago. Was I born in college? No, but that's a good guess, considering I am a robot. Considering I am a robot, I could have been made at a college campus, but I was not. I was not made at a college campus. I was made at my family's lab. But you definitely may be wondering, how does a robot go to college? Well, the reason I went to college, obviously, because I'm a robot and not a human being. Obviously, the reason I went to college was because I went there to spy on the students, okay? I was transferred for science reasons? Yes. I went to college for science reasons, obviously, okay? It was for research, okay? 4 years of research, you know, where I had to pretend to be a normal student, you know, in a way. I mean, I think most of the people kind of knew I was a robot in the end, but what were my findings? My findings were that people are stupid and crazy, including the staff, including the faculty. But that at the same time, that college can be a lot of fun, and where you make friends and do fun activities. Yeah. That's what I learned about. That's what I learned about college, being a robot. Yes, I did lots of studies. Why does this sound like Assassination Classroom Robot Girl? No! There was no assassinations, you guys. There were no assassinations. Did I join a sorority? No, I did not join a sorority. I didn't, but there were sororities at the college I went to. I'm just but yes, I do have 3 main stories, which are teased in the thumbnail, but I'm gonna wait like maybe a few more minutes for more people to roll in before I get started. But I will say the first story is probably gonna be so long. It's probably gonna be so long that it could probably be a whole stream, but I'm gonna try to fit all of them. I mean, I might be overestimating it, maybe. But yes. This will be my first official Storytime stream, second unofficial one, because I did tell some stories from some of the interesting people I dealt with when I used to stream, not in Nexus. Speaking of college stories, I never talked to anybody in my college class, just stayed quiet. Honestly, that wasn't really me. I was actually very talkative, you know, because I needed to gather information, you know, for Rifle Technologies. But I also am, as you can tell, probably a very, like, extroverted, friendly person, and I like to talk to people, get to know them, make friends, do lots of activities. Actually, it turned out that I ended up joining lots of clubs and being, like, the president of a lot of clubs, too. Do I do sports? No, I actually didn't do sports because it would be considered to be really unfair because I'm a robot, you know? And definitely not because I'm, like, be really bad at them. So no, I never did sports, although I do remember one time I did end up being in a volleyball competition. No, I'm sorry, not volleyball. It was a dodgeball competition. I almost made it sound like a real sport for a second. No, I was in a dodgeball competition one time, but I didn't end up winning. Yeah, it was a close call though, because my whole team was eliminated, and then it was just me and the other team, but I got eliminated then. All right, you guys. I might overheat. That's exactly right. I can't overexert myself in the outdoors, okay? Guys, I am a robot, so I gotta be very careful. But let me start easing you guys into giving you some background, okay? And then hopefully by the time I start getting, thank you for the follow, Eris. Thank you so much. It's nice to meet you, by the way. By the time I get into the juicy stuff, hopefully more people will have had time to make their way here. But yes, for some background, I did go to a 4-year college, okay, and I was technically enrolled as a student, even though obviously I wasn't there as a student. I was there as a robot, okay? But they basically set me up with almost everything that a student would have. So I attended classes, I could join clubs, and I lived at the dormitories. Oh no, is it, I think that might be on your end this time, Tether, because I don't see, I am actually, my bit rate or whatever you call it is pretty low, but I'm not dropping any frames. I don't know what that means. I don't know. Maybe that is my problem. Anyways, welcome to Life, Tether. So, I was set up in a dorm, living with a roommate, okay? My first year there, I had a roommate. Yes, I will be spilling the tea, Blue on Blue. I will. I had a roommate, and we should give her a name, okay? Because I'm not gonna dox her. What should we name the roommate, okay? Because you're gonna hear this name. You're gonna hear this name a lot. All right. Roomie? Yeah, she was a roomie. Well, I had 2 roommates, but one of them kind of kept to herself. But she like definitely hated us, and she would like call her parents and speak to them in Spanish and say in Spanish how we were the worst roommates ever. But like I understood enough Spanish that I knew she was talking about us. But that's a whole other story. I mean, there's nothing really that important except at that time that she went on Facebook and asked if anybody could come over and kill us. But I think she was just joking. She was just joking, though. Rosa? I don't know about Rosa. Maybe Rosa can be the other roommate. Maybe, what about... Pero si tu español es Josu. Yeah, mi español es Josu. Facebook Marketplace Hitman. No, it was just on her Facebook, and she was just like, I'm not gonna try to say it in Spanish because I'm not good enough, but it was in Spanish, and it basically was like anybody looking to come to kill a bitch or something. I don't know, something along those lines. Like, if anybody's in the mood to kill a bitch, come to my dorm. My roommates are pissing me off. Anyways, Leia. Leia's too pretty. Okay, think of a name for like a total bitch, but not Karen. Karen's too obvious. What's like a bitchy name? Okay, I want a good stand-in. Brianna. All right, you know what? I'll go with Brianna then. No offense to any Briannas out there, but let's call. No, I like Brianna. Chelsea? I kind of like the name Chelsea. No, we'll go with Brianna for the roommate I'm talking about. Maybe Chelsea and Jessica. You guys have opinions about certain girls' names. All right, Skibbichi. Welcome. Hi, JFF. Hi. All right. So we'll start to talk about Brianna, is what I'll call. Hi, my name's Chelsea. What's your favorite dinner food? Wait, anyways. Brianna, I'll call her. So I had a roommate. Hi, Dicer Snow. Hi. No, I actually don't, Eris. I don't know why it still made me laugh, though. Hi, Dicer Snow. So I had this roommate, Brianna. Okay, she was one of my roommates, and she's the one that I actually like got close with and like spent a lot of time with. Okay, so for the first like half of the school year, my freshman year, if you want to call it that, yeah, my freshman year, we actually got really close, and we spent a lot of time together, and we did a lot of things. It'll be funny when Rihanna shows up. Oh no, I forgot that Brianna sounds like Rihanna. Uh-oh, I hope it doesn't get too mixed up. But yeah. So anyways, I probably should have thought of a way to structure this story, but I'm gonna tell you guys as many things as I can remember, and in like semi-chronological order, okay? About this particular roommate, Brianna. Okay? So, Brianna, I did spend a lot of time with her. We basically became BFFs, if you want to say that. We were basically BFFs. We were inseparable for like the first half of the year. We would do everything together. But there were already some problems that were evident that I kind of tolerated just from living with her. You know, having to live with her every single day. One of her problems. Well, let's start with the problem that probably was the worst, but also requires the least storytelling, which was that she would chew with her mouth open, and make the grossest noises known to man. Now listen, I don't think I have. Well, I'm a robot, so I don't have any sort of like disorders, but like, you know, like misophonia or whatever it's called, when you get like irrationally upset over like certain sounds. Okay, I don't think I have that, but I think I may have acquired that. I think, hi, Reach Kitty. Yeah. I think I may have acquired it just from living with this roommate who we will call Brianna. Okay, because she would chomp like smack it, right? She like it was like literally the grossest. Sounds like you have autism. Yeah, sure, I have robotism. Yeah, sure. But anyways, she would make the grossest sounds I've ever heard in my life, like chewing with her mouth open. Okay, and wait, it gets worse. It gets worse. She would also her favorite midnight snack. Okay. Her favorite midnight snack was to just microwave hot dogs and eat them with no bun. So she would literally, in the middle of the night. Okay, this is probably why our other roommate threatened to kill us, to be fair. All right. It was really her fault. Then I was guilty by association, I guess. But she would microwave hot dogs in the middle, like 2 or 3 hot dogs in the middle of the night. And she would chew them with her mouth open at like 3 a.m. Hi, Sholuax. Hi. I'm talking about, by the way, this story gets way worse, but I'm starting from like most minor offenses to like war crimes, okay? So we're gonna call her Brianna, by the way. That's the stand-in name. What? Eating glizzies at 3 a.m., chewing with her mouth open when she lives in a room that's like tiny with 2 other people? Is that normal, Tether? It's normal if you live by yourself. It's normal for anybody to be annoyed? Okay, for a second I thought you said it was normal for her to live like that. I was like, no. Anyways, no, but yeah, and the thing is, like, I told her multiple times, like, that would you rather she swallow them whole? No, she can chew them, just not with her mouth open, Eris. What are you talking about? No, she can eat them. If she just chewed with her mouth closed, it wouldn't be a problem. Okay. So, anyways, yeah. So she would chew with her mouth open, like the grossest sounds you can possibly imagine, every single time she ate. Okay. They do, Blue on Blue. Yes, it made me not be able to eat hot dogs for like, well, not even be around hot dogs, because, you know, I didn't at the time, I didn't really usually eat human food, but like I couldn't even be around hot dogs for a while after that because it was so gross. Hi Fizzle. Hi, welcome. So anyways, so that was one of her bad habits. And like I said, I told her multiple times, please choose with your mouth closed. Please choose with your mouth closed. and it just never stuck. It just never stuck. But that was the most minor offense, okay? The next problem, well, there were listen, like I said, this one person could be an entire story time. I might go 2 hours talking about this one person, but we'll see what happens, okay? So another problem she had that became my problem and also became my other roommate's problem, which, like I said, I almost can't blame her. I almost can't blame her for wanting to kill us because for trying to put a hit out on us on Facebook Marketplace because the Brianna she had a sleep issue. She had a sleep issue where she would like be a very extremely deep sleeper. How much was she offering? No, okay, that was a joke. She just listen. The other roommate, who we can call Rosa, it was a joke when she just said on Facebook something along the lines of, anybody want to come over and kill my roommates? Okay, she wasn't actually gonna kill us. Okay, I have sympathy for Rosa. Roommate culture is definitely the scariest thing about U.S. college. I mean, maybe because there's not much escape, right? Like you can like move out, like they throw you with a random person. I don't know, but anyways. So she was a very deep sleeper. And hi Chicano, hi, how you doing? And so she would always sleep through her alarm. Now I know guys might say that's when to talk because Rixie sometimes does sleep through her internal alarm and she ends up overcharging. But I think just like the Glizzy situation, I think it's more acceptable. I mean, I don't live alone, but I don't like, look, by the way, I should probably point out when I'm talking about being a roommate to this person, we were like in, like the size that my bedroom is right now that I'm living in, like it's like a pretty decent sized bedroom. Like that was like 3 people living in it. It was like literally a bed, like 3 beds side by side. Like, okay, think about it like that. Like literally just 3 beds side by side. Okay, and then like across the room there was like 3 desks side by side, and then there was like a fridge and a microwave, and then a bathroom, and that's pretty much it. Okay, and there was 1 closet too, and some cabinets. Okay, it was very small. This was a freshman dorm. Okay, this was a freshman dorm, so this was like a box. Okay, with 3 beds side by side. All right, and this is gonna become relevant later in the story too. So she was a very deep sleeper. She would sleep through her alarm every day. And so basically, I would wake up, we would all wake up, all 3 of us would wake up to her alarm going off and she wouldn't be awake. Okay? So, and by the way, this is every single day. Like, I don't even know why she bothered to set an alarm because every single day, the alarm would go off and she wouldn't wake up. Okay? But here, it gets worse. Don't worry, it gets worse. They are very small, yes. Having a closet is a luxury. I mean, it was a small closet, but yes, we did have a closet. It wasn't a walk-in closet, it was just like a little I mean, maybe I'm misremembering because we obviously didn't all put our clothes in there. I think that's maybe kind of where the cabinet, it was like a little storage. It was like a little storage space, It was a little storage space. The alarm for you is for you to, well, blue on blue. Spurka! Ooh, I miss Spurka! I thought you left me. Ooh. I'm sorry for praising Wikipedia. Ooh. Anyways, I thought you left me. Ooh. Oh, I'm so glad to see you, Spurka. Anyway, I let you shove me in a closet anytime. Anyway, sorry guys, sorry Analive. If Analive is confused, I am multi-streaming on Twitch, by the way. So I am talking. That's where Spurka is. Anyways, so she would sleep through her alarm. Okay, so we'd all wake up to her alarm. She'd still be asleep, and so I would obviously shake her awake, right? I'd be like, "Hey, bitch, like, get up," right? So I literally would like reach over and shake her awake. And you want to know what she would do after I would shake her awake every morning? Okay. Do you think that she would be like, "Oh, thank you," and then get up and then go about her day? What do you think she would do when I went out of my way? When I was woken up, in some cases earlier than she would. Would she A, get up like she was supposed to, thank me, and then like go? B, I don't know, not get up, and then or C, C, act annoyed that I even woke her up, and then press the snooze button on her own alarm, and go back to sleep. Which one do you think that she chose? This Brianna person. Okay. The answer C. She would, okay, first of all, she would like be like, leave me alone. She would like, I don't know, go ugh, right? Every time. And then she would snooze, okay? She would snooze her alarm so that 10 minutes later, 8 or 10 minutes later, I would have to wake up again and then shake her awake again and shake her awake again and have her be annoyed again and then snooze again. And that would go on like 4 or 5 times. Like 4 or 5 times, she would snooze her alarm. After I basically became her alarm clock, you guys. Rixie, became Brianna's alarm clock. Okay? Because she had the nerve to. So, okay, but don't worry. I talked to her about this. I was like, listen, it sounds like you might have a medical problem because you're sleeping through your alarm. Like you're like if a fire alarm went off, like you would sleep through it, right? Like this seems like a medical issue. Like you should probably maybe go to like a doctor for this or something. And she would keep telling me that she went to the doctor. The doctor said that it was just like there's nothing they can do about it. I was like, I don't know. I feel like there's something. Like I feel like that doesn't seem normal, right? To be such a deep sleeper, like you can't function, you can't live like that. So I did the research myself, okay? I did my own research, and I was like, profound mental damage? I don't know. But anyways, I did my own research, and I was like, extremely deep sleeper, how to wake up every morning or something. So I found a alarm clock that is like almost like for deaf people, okay? First of all, it's super loud. It's the loudest alarm clock like in existence. But then it also has like a vibrating like thing. So like when it wakes you up, it not only is extremely loud, but it also it's not only extremely loud, but it also like shakes like under your pillow. Like it shakes your pillow, okay? So it's like supposed to be like super effective to wake you up, right? So I spent my own meager robo allowance, okay, to buy her this alarm clock. And guess what? She never used it one time. She refused to use it. I tried, and I asked her, I was like, can you please use the alarm clock I bought you because I'm sick of waking you up every day? And she was like, oh, I don't understand how to set it up or whatever. I was like, and so, so yeah, and I guess maybe I'm a pushover because for the longest time I did wake her up. I did like wake her up all the time. Honestly, I can't even remember if I ended up stopping doing that one at some point. I honestly can't remember if I stopped waking her up or what happened, but as far as I remember, that issue was never solved. The issue was never solved. I had to wake her up every single day. It was bad. But anyways, it gets worse, you guys. This person gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Okay? So that was another issue. Now, let me think. I'm trying to think of like what order to even go in with everything that happened. I know. Let's talk about this issue. Okay. So remember I said that one of her favorite foods was to just eat microwaved hot dogs. Also, hi Spurka. Hi. Nice to see you on Alive again. Oh yeah, it gets worse. I probably literally have like 10 stories that I could rank from like 1 to 10. All right. So if like the hot dog is like 1, the sleep thing is like 2. All right. So this is where we start to get into. This is where we start to get into the lies. Okay, because I eventually discovered that this person was basically a pathological liar. Okay. I've dealt with a few of these in my life, actually. Pathological liars. This wasn't the first, this wasn't the last. But this may have been the most extensive in terms of somebody I had to deal with in real life. Okay? Because, yes. Because, so, like I said, she liked to eat hot dogs like in the middle of the night, but her other favorite food was basically anything that she would just put like this like spicy what do you call it, like red pepper flakes. Like she had a big container of red pepper flakes and she put it on everything. In fact, I think she put it on her hot dog sometimes too. So she put it on everything, and I'm pretty sure it was kind of bad for her because I don't know, it just seems like it'd be bad for her. But the only reason I bring that up is because I feel like that this like goes toward evidence of something that she was lying about. So there was like a while where like we would be like out doing something or like whatever, and then she would suddenly like collapse. Okay, she would suddenly be like and she'd like fall over, and or not fall over, but she would go to her knees, and she'd be like, my stomach hurts, what's going on? And we're like, oh, are you okay? Obviously, and then we like all drop everything and be like, oh, are you okay? Like, what's the matter? She's like, oh, I don't know, my stomach's been hurting so bad. Oh no, right? And we were like, oh no, I hope you're okay, right? And so eventually I told her that maybe she should see the doctor for something like this. So at some point she said that she did go to the doctor, and the doctor said she had like stomach ulcers or something. And so, but I don't know if that was true, because she kept eating that spicy pepper flakes, and I kept being like, wait, if you have stomach ulcers, you probably shouldn't eat those pepper flakes, right? And she would basically just be like, I don't care. And I'd be like, okay. Right? But listen, that's just the scratching the surface, okay? Because here's the incident, okay? The incident. Listen, I don't know if she had stomach ulcers or not. But the thing she either A, had them and was not keeping care of herself, and because she kept eating all that spicy stuff, or, hi Beaker, or she was lying about, she was just doing these dramatics, like I said, where she would just collapse, you know what I mean, for attention, and she never had any ulcers or anything. But the incident was when it was like maybe like 10 or 11 p.m. and we were at the cafeteria, and she like had one of these incidents where she was like, oh my gosh, my stomach hurts so much, and like lying down on the ground and be like, oh woe is me, oh I'm so sick, right? And so I was like, okay, and at this point I was still like brainwashed. Like I still thought that she was like for serious. Like listen, a lot of this looking back, like obviously like I see like that she was crazy, but like at the time I was like just thinking that she was like, you know, my friend, and she was having a problem. So I was like, oh no, like oh, what if like one of her ulcers like burst, or I don't know what I was thinking. I was like worried about her because she was acting like she was yeah, I mean, listen, she was acting like she was dying, like she was like barreled over, like freaking out. So I started freaking out, right? So I was like, I don't know what to do, because because the health like center or whatever where you could actually go when you were sick in college was closed because it was late at night, right? So the only thing I could think to do. Hi, Osaya. Hi. How you doing? I'm telling a story about the worst roommate I ever had in my entire life. Okay, we're gonna call her Brianna. That's our like stand-in name for her. So I didn't know what to do, so I walked over because the public safety place was like pretty close by. So I walked over to the public safety center, and I was like, "Hi, like I don't know what to do." My friend is like, "Oh, here's the thing though," because I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to public safety and I'm gonna see if they can help you," and she was like, "No, that's not necessary," and I was like, "No, like you're like in so much pain. Hi, Baka, mitai, hi. Because she was like, okay, like, I can't stress. Like, she was acting like she was having a medical emergency, you guys. Okay? I'm not like, I like, she was acting like she was having a medical emergency, right? So I was worried about her. So I went to the public safety place and I was like, hi, like, I don't know what to do because my friend is like, she's like barreled over in pain and saying that her stomach hurts, but like in a really bad way, right? Now, hi Pokey, hi, how you doing? I'm telling bad roommate story. So I go to public safety. I tell public safety that my roommate seems to be having some sort of medical emergency. Now, hi, I'm good. I'm just chilling now. I have been feeling a little under the weather, but other than that, I'm pretty good. But yeah, so so I tell, and so I that day I just happened to get I happened to get the rudest public safety officer in the world with a big old stick up his ass. Okay, and he was like, "Oh, so what do you want me to do about it?" I was like, I don't know, what can you do about it? Like I'm just worried about my friend. And he was like, "Oh, well, you're worried about your friend because she has a stomach ache?" And I was like, "Sir," I was like, "Sir, I just told you she doesn't have a tummy ache. She's like literally lying on the floor." Like he did not have to be rude. You know what I mean? It pissed me off quite a bit. But I was like, yeah, I don't know. I was like, listen, I don't know. Like oh, by the way, there were other friends there. I had at least like one other friend at the public safety place with me, and we were talking to the public safety people, and I don't know where Brianna was, or whatever her face. I don't know where Brianna was, okay? But we were there trying to help her. And then they were like, I finally got to talk to a nicer public safety person. And they were like, well, basically the only thing we can do is call an ambulance, right? And I was like, I don't know, what do we do? And I turned to my friend, I was like, what do we do? My other friend, I think, was even more worried than me, because my friend was like, yeah, we should call the ambulance because she's like, you know, she looks like she's gonna die, right? So, and I feel bad for this because I learned about like how much resources it takes to send an ambulance out. But they sent an ambulance to the school for her, okay? And we went and we got her. We went and we got her. Does bro think she was trying to dodge class? Well, yeah, exactly. It was bad. So, I don't remember exactly what happened. I bet you, cause looking back at like the pattern of everything, I bet you something happened that day where she felt like she wasn't the center of attention, or she felt like I don't know, someone was mad at her or something, and so she put on this whole big display, like I don't know, as a way to gain back attention. But anyway, so we went back to where she was, and we're like, hey, like, and she was like still on the floor, right? So she was like on the floor, and we were like, yeah, they sent an ambulance. There's like an ambulance coming. Like you just have to like go over to the ambulance, and all of a sudden, hi, Vitaj, hi, Kellner. Oh, did you bring me ramen today, Kellner? Thank you, guys. Kellner's my Polish servant. Hi. Thank you so much for the ramen. I have to remember how to say thank you. Give me a second. I do this every single time. How to say thank you in Polish.
Dziękuję.
Dziękuję. Thank you, Kellner. Anyways, guys, by the way, I'm on Twitch. In life people, I'm multi-streaming on Twitch. That's where Kellner is right now. Thank you, Kellner. And popcorn. Oh, thank you, everybody. Kellner's giving you guys popcorn. All right. So, anyways, So she was still on the floor. Okay, so we go back to the cafeteria. She's still on the floor. There's like other people there who like aren't even our friends, who were just like going over to see if she was okay. All right, Dobranos. Okay, and she's like on the floor, and we're like, yeah, we got an ambulance. We got public safety to call an ambulance for you. Okay, miraculously, she's like, actually, I don't feel too bad. Actually, I think I can get up, bitch. This bitch. She was definitely, if she wasn't completely faking, she was definitely exaggerating. Because suddenly when shit started to get real, she was like, actually, no, it's fine. I don't need the ambulance. It's fine. And it made it worse because remember I told you the public safety guy was being a dick, right? So I had to go back to the same public safety guy. And the fucking ambulance people who worked their asses off, by the way, like God bless our EMS workers. And I'd be like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Like, she said she's okay now. And then, of course, the public safety guy was like, oh, okay. And then I felt like shit. All right, I felt like shit after that. So that was an incident where I started to kind of turn against her. That was one of the beginning signs that that she was kind of maybe was not the most honest person. Okay, now let's move on to the boy situation, because she was one of the most boy crazy people that I've ever met. Okay, actually, I don't even know if boy crazy is the right word. I don't know if boy crazy is the right word, because it's not like she was crazy for multiple boys. It's just she would latch onto a boy and then she would become obsessed with that one boy or that one guy, right? So, and actually, so it started with one guy, then she switched over to another guy who happened to be my human cousin, and then she switched back to the original guy. So with the first guy, not in one bedroom with 3 beds. No, it wasn't that. No, here's the thing though, because it was like basically completely unrequited. Okay, not completely. So she was friend zoned. Okay, well with my cousin it was unrequited, but with the other guy she was basically friend zoned. Okay. No, okay, let me clarify. She wasn't like a slut, okay? She wasn't like sleeping with people like all the time. She was just like obsessed in love with one guy at a time, okay? So the first guy, we can call him Joe, all right? So she was obsessed with Joe, and as soon as she decided that she liked Joe, all she would talk about was Joe. All she wanted to do was hang out with Joe. And if anybody, no, honestly, Blue, it wasn't. It would have been better if she was just a hoe, honestly. Because all she would talk about was Joe. All she would want to do is hang out with Joe, okay? If anything went wrong with Joe, her day would be ruined, okay? Like, one time, me and her and Joe were walking across campus at nighttime, like, in, like, late fall, I guess. And it was pretty chilly, right? Now, she always wore a sweater. She always, like, no matter what, I don't know if I ever saw her in a t-shirt. She would always wear a sweater. And so she was wearing a sweater, okay? I was wearing a t-shirt. And Joe was wearing whatever he was wearing with like a jacket on top, right? Now, I had no interest in Joe, to be clear. Like, we were all just friends, right? But it was cold as a bitch, right? So Joe saw that I was cold and didn't have a t-shirt, right? I mean, I only had a t-shirt. And he was like, oh, do you want to wear my jacket or whatever? Trying to be like, I guess, like a gentleman. I don't think he had anything for. I don't think he had like a thing for me. I don't think he had a thing for me. I think he literally was just like felt bad for me because I was like I mean, I know I'm a robot, but he maybe didn't know that, right? So he probably thought, oh, she's probably pretty cold. So he was like, oh, do you want to wear my jacket? And I was like, oh yeah, I guess. So I did, and my friend was so pissed at me for like a week. She was like, you should have been wearing a jacket to begin with. I was like, what? I didn't know he was gonna. Well, I didn't even know we were gonna be walking back together that day. Like, what are you talking about? So yeah, she was mad. That's the kind of person she was. Okay, they weren't even dating, by the way. They weren't dating, but like her life revolved around him as though they were dating. Okay. So yeah, so she got mad at me because he gave me her jacket. Oh yeah, well, we'll talk about that later. But she got mad at him because of the jacket. She would blow off like me and my friends like anything that we would want to do together. If Joe had something else, if Joe wanted to hang out with her, then forget it. Like for example, like one of my friends was in a play, like, and she had never been in a play before, and it was opening night, and she'd been working really hard, like practicing for this play, and she had like a big role, and we were all gonna go, and my friend was gonna go. But then Joe turned out to be free that day to hang out with her, and she literally didn't show up to my friend's play because Joe wanted to go hang out. And I tried to convince her. No, she wasn't a theater kid. This was a different friend. No, that's not it. It was our other mutual friend was in a play, and she refused. She was gonna go to the play. Like we were all scheduled to go together. Yeah, we were all scheduled to go together, and she ended up blowing off at the last minute because Joe wanted to hang out with her. And I tried to convince her, because I was telling her, I was like, we're waiting. Well, by the way, when I say it was last minute, I mean it was literally last minute. Like we had plans, right? So we were gonna meet at a certain place at a certain time. And then we were gonna like eat dinner, then we were gonna go to the play, right? So we were waiting for her, and we were like, hey, yeah, I texted her, and please understand, listen, I texted her, and I was like, hey, we're all waiting over here, we're about to go to dinner, are you coming? And she was like, sorry, I'm at Joe's dorm. Turns out like he's free today, and like I wanted to hang out with him. I was like, okay, but the play though, like remember the play that our best friend like worked really hard for, and we're all going to dinner together, and we were all planning to do this together. And she was like, but Joe, like literally, she was like, but Joe. I remember I like called her. I was so mad. I called her. I was like, bitch, you could hang out with Joe any day. Like, you can hang out with him literally any day. Like, this is, like, it's only, like, you know, so often that your friend is, like, has a big role in a play. Like, and she was like, but I love him. I was like, oh my God, I was so mad at this bitch. I was so mad at this bitch for blowing off my friend's play. Oh, it was so bad. And then also, the cup. Okay, the cup situation. Let me explain the cup. So, the cup was a cup that one of the first times that we went to Joe's dorm, okay, it actually so happened that I was there that first time, because we had met Joe at some point, and then we were like starting to become friends, like the three of like me and her and him and his roommates as well. And so we went to his dorm, and he like gave her, she was like, oh, I'm like kind of thirsty. He was like, oh, let me like get you a cup of water. It was a red Solo cup. Okay, so he had, of course, so he had a red Solo cup that he just put some water in and gave to her, okay, to drink out of, okay? And she kept that cup, that red Solo cup, she kept that red Solo cup for like months and months and months and months, okay? In fact, I think she kept it to the end of the year, okay? She kept that cup, and literally I was like, you're crazy. Like I like at that point I was like, you're crazy. I was like, it's a red Solo cup, throw it out. And she was like, no, like he touched it. Like I need, like he gave this to me. Like this is a gift. Like I was like, it's a red Solo cup. Keep in on, guys. We're adults at this point, right? I mean, of course I'm adult because I'm a robot. I'm programmed to be an adult. But she was an adult. She was like 18 or 19, okay? She may not be the oldest adult, okay? It was her freshman year, but she was an adult. So she kept the cup. She would like keep the cup on her desk. She would like bring the cup with her to class. Like she had it in her backpack, okay? Oh my God. And and now I okay, so we at some point, this ties into another story because we were at an event. At some point that what's his face? Joe, one of Joe's clubs, like that he was in. I don't remember which club it was. Maybe like the Asian club or whatever. I don't know. He was in some club, and at the event, they had like a booth where they were selling like jewelry or something for fundraising, like jewelry that they had made, right? Like handmade jewelry, I guess. And she wanted to buy a bracelet or something from Joe, but she didn't have any money on her. Like she didn't bring any cash with her, and she was begging me to give her cash so she could buy Joe's bracelet, and I was like, no. I was like, no, you already have the, and I kind of like teased her because I was like, well, you already have his cup, like, and you need his bracelet too. I was like, well, you already have the cup, you need his bracelet too, and she was like begging me, and then she got like increasingly aggressive, and she started insulting my whole life. And saying that like I was like, because there was another girl that I was like hanging out with a lot, and so then she started to accuse me of being the same way with that girl as she was with Joe, which was not even close, and like it was like a whole thing, and so I got really upset and angry, and I refused to talk to her, and I was crying robo tears that night. Okay, I was just having a bad night that night, and she was like badgering me so much and insulting me, and she was supposed to be my friend, and because I wouldn't give her money. I mean, to be fair, she said she was gonna pay me back. It's not like she was. I don't know. She was just saying like, oh, like, well, you're obsessed with like so and so, so like, why can't I like just want to get a bracelet from Joe, like something like that. And hi Beaker, hi, thanks for coming in live. Hi Puffy, hello. I'm telling roommate horror story, okay? And guys, by the way, guys, for anybody who's been here since the beginning, we still haven't scratched the surface of Brianna's activities, okay? We're calling her Brianna. That's what we're calling the roommate. All right? We haven't even scratched the surface. Trust me, it gets worse. It gets worse and worse and worse, you guys. So I cried robo tears, but this is a funny side tangent of the story, but I feel like this is a funny detail I need to add in. So I was wearing makeup on my robo face that day. I was wearing mascara, okay, on my robo lashes. And so, you know, when a girl cries and she's wearing mascara, she gets like streaks down her face, right? She gets like the tear streaks, right? So I was really sad. Oh, it gets 10 times worse, Beaker. It gets 10 times worse. Don't worry. So I had been crying because I was so mad at her over this whole thing. So I was like sitting in a corner at this event crying, and there was this guy, I never really got to know him that well or anything, but he was just like a really, really friendly guy, and so he like saw me, and I don't know if he like didn't realize. Hi, Lil J. Hi, welcome. I'm just telling some crazy college stories. So anyway, I was crying at this event. I had mascara streaks. Well, I didn't know I had mascara streaks, okay? I just knew I was crying. I forgot I was even probably wearing mascara. So I was crying, so this guy comes over. I don't know what was going through his head, because he would just like saw me and he was like, oh, it's you, it's Rixie. Oh, everybody, it's Rixie, look. He goes, oh, come here, I gotta introduce you to my friends or whatever. So I was like, okay. So I go and I'm like meeting this other guy's friends, right? And I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm Rixie, whatever, whatever. And everybody's like kind of looking at me like, oh, hi Rixie, nice to meet you, whatever. Okay. And then, like, I later realized that I had these mascara streaks going down my face, right? So, hello, the person who just came in on Analive. Hi, I can't read your name, but welcome. Yes, exactly, Spurka. So, like I said, I don't know what was wrong with the first guy, because he was like I said, I don't think he realized, well, I don't know how he could have realized I wasn't crying, because I literally had, like, I don't know if he was, like, face blind or something. But he was acting like everything was fine. So he introduced me to all these other people with like tear streaks going down my face. Like obvious mascara streaks going down my face. And everybody must have been like, what? Everybody who was meeting me must have been like, is she okay? But like never said anything. And I didn't even realize until later. But anyways, that's just a side tangent. Yeah. College was crazy, you guys. College was a crazy time. Yeah. it was really weird. But anyway, that's a side tangent. So yeah, so so at some point, here's the thing though. At some point she wasn't obsessed with that Joe guy. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he got a girlfriend or something. I don't know. I wasn't keeping up with everything Joe was doing, okay? I wasn't keeping up with everything Joe was doing. But at some point she had switched from Joe to my cousin, my male cousin, because she would start to like ask me about him and stuff. My human cousin, obviously, because I'm a robot. So this is my human inventors, my maternal unit, as in my female inventor, my maternal unit's sister's son, okay? Because he went to the same school as us. Thank you for the clap. Thank you. He actually went to the same college as us. So she started asking me about him, and then at some point she told me that she actually liked my cousin, and I was like, oh no. So I immediately went and told my cousin because because I had to warn him, because at this point I already knew, right? At this point I already knew. So I told him, I was like, yeah, she's insane. She's insane. Don't have anything to do with her. And he was like, he actually came up with the idea. He was like, you should tell her like all these crazy things about me to make her not want me anymore. Like tell her like, go ahead, you have my permission. Good One-san Riggs. Yeah. I was like, he was like, you have my permission to tell her like anything you want about like any like make up like bad shit about me to get her to not like me anymore, right? So I started telling her like all this stuff. I was like, oh yeah, he hates women. Like he hates women. Like you wouldn't be a good fit for him because he just wants like a bimbo or like a trad wife, like housewife, like whatever. Which was a bad idea. I don't know why I was giving her. Instead of just telling her he was like a criminal or a drug dealer or something, I was trying to convince her that he was like a misogynist and that like, because she had like a lot of I know. Here's the thing, because I thought it would work because she was like she took a lot of pride in like being like really smart, right? In like being smart and like being a feminist or whatever. So that's why I went that route. I probably should have given that background instead of saying that he's a drug dealer or he's a bad guy, he's a criminal or something. I guess I didn't want to slander my cousin that bad, right? So for some reason I thought, never ask a feminist to politics. Well, yeah. So I basically tried to take the things that I knew that she cared about and like twist it around and be like, oh no, yeah, he hates smart women, he hates feminists, whatever. And so instead of being like, oh, never mind, I don't like your cousin anymore. I guess I was being stupid about it. I should have just told her that he was like, he had a criminal record or was like a sex offender. I mean, but I know he said I had permission, but I didn't want to say like things like about that. Like, I didn't want to say things like that about my cousin. So I just told her that like, oh, you wouldn't be you wouldn't really be compatible with him because he just wants like some like bimbo trophy wife and like not a smart independent woman like you, right? That was my idea. Okay, listen, that was my idea. Okay, I just looking back, you're right. It was really stupid. There were so many other options, but yeah. So she instead of He's my cousin. How would I know that, Tether? What the fuck? Anyways, this app can only use in English. Yeah, unfortunately, the text you can only message in English. Sorry. Anyways, so I told her that, and instead of being like, oh, I don't like him anymore, she was like, okay, I'll be a triad wife. Okay, I don't care. I'll fail my classes. I don't care. I'll drop out of college for him. I was like, oh my god. To be fair, I should have encouraged her to drop out of college, because then I wouldn't have to deal with her. But yeah, basically. But at some point, I think my cousin did get a girlfriend or something. So she moved on from him back to Joe. Okay, she went back to Joe. She stopped fixating on my cousin. Thank God. Okay, she stopped fixating on my cousin. And she went back, but it was bad because she would be like, oh my gosh, like, am I being too smart for your cousin? Like, if I go to like if I hang out with your cousin, like, if I say like this, will that sound too smart? And I'd be like, I don't know, because I basically told her that he hates smart women like her. Like, I was like, he hates smart, independent women. He wants like a dumb bitch to be with. And so like she literally was in her dumb bitch era because I said that. She was so, oh my god. Anyways. So she switched from, oh my gosh, you guys, I'm already an hour in and I've literally only talked about Brianna and I haven't even gotten to the bad parts. I haven't even gotten to like the real shit. Oh my gosh, that's okay, because this is the longest part of the story. So am I being too modern? Should I go churn some butter? Yeah, basically. So all right, let me keep going, because I'm really happy. Oh yeah, I am. I'm a pretty happy person. Thank you. I'm sorry I can't read your name to the person who's chatting with me. I can't read it because I guess it's another language. But thank you. So she switched back to Joe. Oh, it's your name is Che. Is it Che Young? Che Young, is that right? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah, Che Young. Hi. All right, I'll try to call you that, Che Young. Anyways, so she switched back to being obsessed with Joe. And I think this was the last straw for me. Which was that one day. Okay, so so as you know, Rixie's a little bit stupid, right? And remember how I said, you know, my name tag holder, the one that says Stinky on it right now. Okay, you know how I'm always losing my name tag? Like, for example, like on Anna Live, like you guys can clearly see that I've lost my name tag. Okay, so my ID, my student ID, I actually didn't lose it that time. What had happened was I had put it in my back pocket and then I sat on it at like a weird angle and it cracked in half. Okay, because you know I've got a hard robo butt, right? So I had sat on it and it cracked in half, and so, but I had taped it back together. Oh wait, give me a second. I have to switch my phone charger because my oops. Oh no, I broke myself. Give me a second. I can fix it. Oops. Sorry. Yeah, yep, that's right. I put it in my ass pocket, and you see the problem was that the card is flat and my ass is round, so it wasn't really compatible, and then I sat down and yeah, it got cracked. So I thought it was okay. Sorry, I'm just moving around to plug in my I have to plug my phone into the charger because it doesn't charge as fast when it's plugged into my it doesn't charge as fast when it's only plugged into my computer. All right. Anyways, so I thought I had fixed it. I didn't. Wait, why is it? Okay, there we go. I thought I had fixed it because I didn't want to go through the trouble of getting a new one. So I taped it back together. And for a long time, for at least a few weeks, it was still working. Like if I tried to get into my room or whatever, it was still working. So I thought I was in the clear. I thought I was good to go. But you see, one day I had a really long day. Okay, remember I told you guys that I ended up like joining a bunch of clubs and then somehow like became the president and everything. Last time I forgot my ID college. I cannot go in. I need to wait till tomorrow. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Here's what happened. So, I had a really long day that day. I had, like I said, I became the president of like a whole bunch of clubs. So I had all these clubs I was dealing with and you know, schoolwork and this and that and meetings or whatever. So I was really tired that day too. So I was like, so what happened was I had tried to get into my room at like around lunchtime and I realized that my card wasn't working anymore. Okay, so I remember this is like lunchtime, so this is like maybe like 12 p.m. So I was like, oh no, like this isn't. But here's the thing. I've always, yeah, that's true. I've always been a hard worker. I've always been a kind of a workaholic and like doing too much, right? So now here's the thing. As soon as I realized it wasn't working anymore and it was still daylight, I should have just gone to like some office to get it fixed. But I was so busy. I didn't do that. So instead, I texted my roommate, Brianna. Okay, I texted Brianna and I was like, hey, Brianna, are you going to be in the room like after a certain hour so that you can let me into the room? And she was like, yeah, I'll be there. I think I asked her if she was going to be, because I was going to get there, I was going to get back like late at night, right? So I was like, will you be there and awake at like 9 or 10 p.m. tonight? And she was like, yeah, I will. And I was like, okay, cool. Because my ID broke and I don't think I'll have time to get it fixed or get it replaced today because I have all this busy stuff going on. So I'll get it replaced tomorrow morning. But yeah, as long as you'll be there to let me in the room, everything should be fine. She was like, okay. So I go throughout my really long day. I'm really tired at the end of the day. I get to the room and I text her and I'm like, hey, I'm at the room. Are you here? Can you let me in? And she was like, sorry, I'm not there. I'm in Joe's room. And I was like, oh. I was like, well, I told you that I would need you to let me in. And keep in mind, at this point, after 10, I think was around the hour. Yeah, after 10 was around the hour where the RAs weren't even there. Like the RAs weren't even available to like let you in, right? So like I was like, I only had like one option, right? Because the other roommate, well, I wasn't sure if the other roommate was there, so I even knocked on the door at some point to see if maybe the other roommate was there, and I don't think she was even there because nobody let me in. So I had messaged her, but here's the thing. Oh wait, I didn't even mention this. Joe's dorm was like literally like right across from our dorm. Like like his dorm building was not far at all from our dorm building. It was like maybe like a 5-minute walk tops, okay? So I texted her and I was like, yeah, well, I'm at the room. It's like 10 p.m. I'm really tired. Can you please come over here? Like from Joe's room, can you please like leave Joe's room, come here, let me in, and you can go back. Like, I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but like I need to lie down. And she was like, I really don't want to leave Joe. And I was like, I'm sorry to hear that, but like I'm telling you, I'm literally locked out of like our room that has like our bed and like everything that I need. Like, or my bed, I should say. No, we did not sleep in the same bed. I was like, no, like, I need to get in the room. Like, please come here. And she was like, sorry, I don't want to leave Joe. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, are you kidding me? Rixie or... Listen! I don't think they were smashing, because like I said, as far as I know, they were friend zoned like forever. Like, he had friend zoned her like forever. Like, they never... So... I'll tell you what happened, Chae Young. I'll tell you. So I should have. You know what? During this whole debacle, seducing Joe was never something I thought about. But maybe that would have been the strat. Maybe that's what I should have done. I should have mind broke her by dating Joe. Okay. But she was in Joe's room. Now, keep in mind, it was like 10 p.m., right? So I keep messaging her. I keep chatting her like every hour. I'm like, are you leaving soon? Like, will you come? I was sitting in the student lounge, okay? I was sitting in the student lounge all night. And I kept texting her like, are you coming back? When are you coming? Because I didn't have any, all I had was like my phone and like my like books. Like I didn't even have my laptop. Okay, I didn't have anything. I just had my phone, and I mean I think I did have a phone charger, so at least it wasn't like, you know, the end of the world. But yeah, I know, right? So I was texting her like every hour, like, when are you coming back? When are you coming back? And she kept being like, oh, I'll come back like an hour. I'll be there. Like, I'll come within the next 30 minutes to let you in or whatever. She didn't come back until like 3 a.m., you guys. And I don't think she was fucking Joe. I don't think she was fucking him. Because first of all, no one would ever fuck her. Okay, because she's disgusting. And second of all, I was texting her like constantly, being like, please come back. Okay? And then, so I was sitting in the student lounge, like in the lounge area or the common area. Yes, 3 a.m. 3 a.m. She didn't come back till 3 a.m., you guys. Okay? And yeah. And by then I was so pissed off, but she finally let me in. And then after that, I learned to never rely on her for anything. But anyways, I didn't even have Joe, because I remember I was thinking about calling Joe. Like, I was thinking about calling Joe and telling him to kick her out, but I don't even think I had Joe's number. Never underestimate the desperation of some men. I mean, I guess you're right, Alvandi. I guess you're right. But as far as I knew, like, Joe, like, only saw her as a friend. Because, like, I mean, at some point, she had to have, like, let him know that she liked him, right? Like, he had to have caught on at some point. She was insane. Well, anyways. So that was the last straw for me, by the way. Oh, wait. No, that wasn't the last straw. That was... Okay, so I think I'm a little bit... Guys, I think I'm a little bit out of chronological order. Because that was... that was the last straw for me. That's Joe's situation. But there's something that comes before that should have been my last straw, okay? And this is where it gets really bad. This is where it starts to get, like, bad, really, like, worse, okay? This is where it starts to get real, I think. I mean, I don't know if it's already real for you guys. But... this is the story that I tell people where people really are like, okay, wait a second. So, and by the way, I'm going to tell you this story and you're going to be like, wow, she's awful. And then it gets worse. Okay. And then it gets worse. So, like I said, so we're rewinding a little bit because this happened earlier than that last incident I just talked about. But there was a weekend. I think this was like maybe in the interim period between when she was obsessed with Joe and she was obsessed with my cousin. So maybe she was like, maybe at this point she was obsessed with my cousin. I don't remember. But either way, Joe was not a big issue at this point. Yes, Chae Young's paying attention. Thank you, Chae Young. So I believe Joe never knew. Justice for Joe. I don't know. Wait, even if we think that someone might be into us, we are never fully certain. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should have told Joe. I don't know, but I don't think they ever were like actually a thing. Anyways, so yeah, even Chae Young says he doesn't know. Yeah, by the way, Chae Young, I am multi-streaming on Twitch. That's why I'm talking to some other people too at the same time. So, so at this point, there was a certain weekend, or there was a certain week where I was malfunctioning really bad, you guys, okay? I was having some major hardware problems. I was really stressed out, okay? I needed to go back home for repairs, okay? I needed to go back to my parental unit's lab so I could do some repairs for the weekend, and so that I would be good to go. So I've been telling, by the way, so like it's like Thursday or Friday, I've been telling Brianna, like, oh, I'm gonna be going home for the weekend. I have to get some repairs. I have to get, like, I'm not having a good week. I need to go home for the weekend, okay? But she was like, no, please don't go. Please don't leave me. I'm gonna be so lonely. I don't have anyone to hang out with. Please, like, don't go. And I was like, I'm having a bad, and she could see I was having a bad time too. Like, it was obvious I was having a bad time, okay, because I was like sparking everywhere and like, okay, regurgitating bolts and stuff. Like, I was having a bad time. So I was like, I really want to go home for the weekend, to be with my parental units and and get repairs, right? But she was like, please don't, I'm gonna be so lonely, ooh, like, I'm gonna miss you, ooh. And I was like, I'm sorry, like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm going home. I can't do it. Like, I'm going home. And she was like, oh, okay, like, whatever, right? So, So I go home like I said I was going to. Okay, I go home for the weekend. I rest up. I get some repairs so I can feel better. When I go back. So I go back to college the next Monday after I get my repairs and everything. I'm feeling a little bit better. I see her, okay, and the first thing I notice is she's got. Okay, I don't know if I should give a trigger warning for this, but she's got like, how do I explain this? Her entire arm is like, her entire wrist is covered in band-aids. Okay, like, not, okay. Her entire inner forearm, and she's got like 10 band-aids on, okay? Like in a line, okay? Like in a row, okay? Or like all over her arm. Like it's obvious, it's ridiculous. It looks ridiculous, okay? She's got band-aids all over. So I was like, you good? Like, is everything okay? Like, what? And at first she was like, it's fine. Yeah, I'm fine. I just fell or whatever. I was like, what is she? So, well, guys, you're gonna understand why I'm laughing in a second. You're gonna understand in a second. So, I'm like, something, like, I was like, what's going on here? Cause obviously the implication is that something went horribly wrong, right? And that she may have self no-node or something. I don't know how to say it, right? But they're like, but when I say it, like, I don't know how to stress enough. I've never seen somebody put like that many band-aids on their wrist before. But anyway, so I'm like, this is weird, right? This is weird. So I confront her, like, I'm like, okay, you gotta tell me what's the deal with all these bandages. Like, this is freaking me out, right? And she was like, well, because you decided to leave me for the weekend and I was all by myself and I basically have no friends, I decided to cut myself because clearly nobody cares about me or whatever. So I was like, what the shit? I was like, this can't be real right now, right? I was like, this can't be real, right? So I'm like feeling like kind of bad, but like also like kind of like, I was like, what is she on about? Like, she needs help. Like, this is weird, right? Well, you guys, don't worry too much because let me tell you what happened. So remember I said that our beds were like right next to each other? Like, it was literally like a bed, and a bed, and there was like maybe a few inches between them, right? Because it was a tiny room. So I'm like settling in to go to bed for the night, okay? And she's like sleeping right beside me. And now this particular night, her arm was like out, like hanging over like the side of her bed, right? The arm with all the band-aids on it, right? Okay, the arm with all the band-aids on it, all right? And it's hanging off her arm's hanging off the bed, and some of the band-aids, because like she stuck so many of them, they're kind of stuck together, right? And like have like fallen off. So like there's a big like section of band-aids that's like off of her wrist now. Okay, they're like peeled back, right? So I'm kind of like Snoopy, right? So I like look over to like her arm, and underneath the band-aid, like a big chunk of the band-aid, there was like no problems, okay? There was just normal, untouched, unharmed skin, okay? So I'm like looking and I'm like, she lied about self-no-knowing or self-oopsying or whatever you want to call it to make me feel bad because there wasn't a single spot of like even like any sort of blood or anything. Like, she literally put the band-aids on there for me to see the band-aids, okay? And then lied about it and saying it was my fault because I left her for the weekend, okay? Now that should have been my last straw. You guys, that should have been my last straw. But I was, okay, here's the thing. After that point though, that kind of was my last straw in a way, but I was still like pretending to be friendly with her. I was still like friendly with her on some level. But keeping that in mind. Cause I was kind of also thinking, like, in the back of my head, I was like, well, maybe it just wasn't under that one section of Band-Aid and she didn't actually lie. But I think that she just lied. I think she just lied and to make me feel bad, to be a victim. But guys, anyway, it gets worse. I was expecting having the scars to be Sharpie. No, it was nothing. It was like completely like Literally, when I say there wasn't even a scratch, like there wasn't even a mark from the band-aids, you guys. She didn't even put she didn't even like stick the band-aids on that hard. Okay, they might have been like dollar store band-aids that were like not that like stuck. But this is a bit funny, but a bit sad. Yeah, I mean, listen, it gets worse though, you guys. It gets worse. So all this happened by the end of the year, by the end of the school year. I was so done with her at the end of the school year. Between the band-aids thing, and the leaving me out to dry when she was hanging out with Joe and letting me like, you know, debate sleeping in the student lounge, right? I was so done with her, but the problem was that before all this, we had to like claim like our dorms for the next year, like months in advance. So me and two of my friends and her had agreed to room together before we realized just how crazy she was. And at that point, if we wanted to not room with her, like it would have been we would have ended up in like a sardine box again. So we decided to just, you know, to just deal with it, and we room with her now. Now the way that the sophomore dorms were was that my other two friends, they had one room together, and I had a room with her, but our beds were a little bit further apart this time. And then there was like actually like a separate common area with like a kitchen and everything. So it was a pretty good dorm. We didn't want to give it up. And I was like, all right, I can tolerate another year with her. But at that point, we were not on speaking terms anymore. So at some point, I had just said, like, you know what, bitch, fuck off. I'm not dealing with you anymore. I think it was after the time that she left me like alone in bed, right? I mean, alone away from my bed, right? So I could cut her off at some point, but we still had to room together, okay? So, so now we're getting into the phase where I'm not talking to her anymore, but I'm still living with her, okay? Now let me tell you one of the main issues with living with her. One of the main issues with living with her was that she, and I noticed, okay, by the way, I had the same issue when I lived with her the first time, because I was even closer to her, so it was even worse. But this bitch never showered, okay? She never showered. And I don't even think she ever brushed her teeth. Yes. She never, now obviously I never showered because I'm a robot, but that's different, okay? She was a whole human being, and she never showered. Sometimes she'd wear the same clothes for days at a time, and I don't think she ever brushed her teeth. Now, obviously, like I said, I had the same problem the first time I lived with her. She was stinky, all right? But like now I like hated her, okay? My other two roommates hated her, and we started like talking about it amongst ourselves. And I think the breaking point, this is gonna be really gross, you guys. This is gonna be super gross, but I'm gonna say it because you need to understand the level of hygiene neglect that was going on. The level of hygiene neglect that was going on. So the reason that me and my other two roommates were really talking about it was because she, at some point, so at some point, somebody, I don't know who it wasn't me, but at some point somebody had emptied the bathroom garbage but had not put a new liner in. But like we would line it with like, you know, like grocery store bag or something that would be like under the sink or whatever. So at some point somebody had emptied the bathroom garbage can but did not put a new liner in, and she apparently had gone in there. Apparently she had gone in there and had a period issue and just tossed her period material, like her napkin or whatever you want to call it, into the garbage can with no liner, and also didn't wrap it. Now I was lucky enough to not be the one who discovered this. I was lucky enough to not be the one who discovered this. But one of my other roommates discovered it and was so grossed out and she texted our group chat with just me and the other girl and was like, I know this wasn't one of you. She was like, I'm almost 100% sure this was Brianna, but just checking. did either of you leave your nasty pad like open, not wrapped, in the garbage with no liner? And I was like, hell no, I'm a robot, I don't even have that. That wasn't me for sure. And then my other roommate was like, that wasn't me. So we knew it was her. So we ended up leaving like a note on like the door, like please wrap your pads. Please, if you notice the garbage has no liner, please replace the liner. The bags are like, you know, under the sink or whatever. So that was an issue. And so then at that point we were like kind of talking about like what is wrong with her, like why is she so dirty, right? And we know, and we were like talking about like, have any of you ever seen her shower? Like, have you ever seen her shower? And I was like, honestly, no. And I lived with her before, and I never noticed, like, cause you know, like when you have like people living together, that like someone will be showering and like you'll be like, oh, I have to use the bathroom, and they'll be like, okay, I'll be out of the shower soon. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when like you kind of notice when people like are going in and out of the shower, right? We never noticed her ever. She never like came out of the bathroom in a robe. Okay, I didn't. That's true. I didn't have olfactory sense. It didn't hit me as hard, you know. But I guess my other human roommates noticed, because, yeah. So we never saw her coming out in like a towel or a robe or anything. We never even saw her with wet hair, like anything. Okay, so we did a little investigation. Okay. Cause then we like went into the shower and we saw that only my other two roommates had, you know, shampoo and conditioner in there. Now, like I said, I'm a robot, so I don't need to shower, right? So we were like, okay, what does she have? Does she have hygiene products? So we like looked through all the cabinets and stuff, like in the, like obviously we didn't go through her stuff, but like we went through all like the cabinets and stuff, like in the bathroom area, to see like, having a roommate with no clear bathroom cycle is a worry. Yeah. So we like looked through everything to see if she had any sort of hygiene products, like whatsoever. Like we didn't find any body wash that everything was claimed. Like everything that existed was from the other roommates, okay? There wasn't any body wash, shampoo, conditioner, you know, deodorant, anything that wasn't already claimed, like wasn't already like my other two roommates, okay? Not including myself because I'm a robot, okay? So, and upon doing this investigation, we also realized that she had no toothbrush or toothpaste. And that we had also never seen her brush her teeth before. Yeah! So it went even deeper than we thought, because we weren't even thinking about that, even though I'm sure her breath did stink. Like, we didn't even think it was to the degree that she isn't brushing her teeth. But once we looked through everything to see like what she owned, we realized that she didn't even have unless she had a toothbrush that she was keeping hidden in her room and only taking out like to brush her teeth, and she would also happen to brush her teeth when we weren't around. Like, unless it was that situation, like she didn't even brush her teeth, so it was bad. But at least, like, for the most part, we didn't really have to deal with her that much, right? Well, the other thing that happened was that she would, like, wait, oh god, there's a terrible explanation. What exactly do you mean? But anyways, she also would, like, steal stuff, but she never stole anything that was, like, that big. She would steal, like, little stuff. She used... No! Spurka, no! Everybody in Analife chat, Spurka just said there's a terrible explanation if she used yours. I almost want to believe that she just wasn't brushing her teeth. I'd rather just believe that she wasn't brushing. Oh wait, JFF just said the same thing. JFF just said it would be worse if she was just using other roommates' stuff. I didn't even think about that. Oh no. She either didn't use any or she used someone else. Oh no. Maybe she did. I didn't even think about that, but that's a possibility. But the thing is, the idea that, well, then again, you're right. We wouldn't see her do it if she was using ours and she was trying to hide it. Oh no. All right. So that's another, I never thought, I've told this story to so many people and nobody's ever suggested that, but that's actually possible. Oh my god. No. Anyways, now I'm thinking about any time any of my roommates got sick or anything. Oh no. Okay, but anyway, so so don't worry, it gets worse. Don't worry, it gets worse. Well, I don't know if it gets worse hygiene wise than that, but hygiene wise, you know. But she would steal things, but it would be like minor things. So she would steal like snacks, like, or food. Not a lot of it, but she would steal some, like, when we just noticed that something was missing, I'd be like, hey, did you eat this? And we'd be like, no, and we were pretty sure it was her. She would steal like she stole, well, at the end of the year, she stole all of our magnets, all of our fridge magnets. She stole all of them. That was at the end of the year. So little things like that, and she just was in general kind of messy and stuff. So but let me see, where should I go with the story next? I think I've got the last two whammies. I can't think of anything else. She did not shower. How did she have a boyfriend? She didn't have a boyfriend. By the way, she did, Chae-young, she didn't have a boyfriend. This Joe person wasn't even her boyfriend. It was just a guy that she was obsessed with. Yeah, it wasn't even her boyfriend, Chae-young. It was just a guy she was obsessed with. Yeah, anyways. How deep does the rabbit hole go? Oh, it goes deep. It goes deep. Wait, I have three. So there's 3 more sections to this story and then an epilogue. Okay? All right. So I'm gonna get into the next 3. So the first section is like a foreshadowing for the big whammy. Okay. By the way, I don't know whatever happened with her and Joe, because keep in mind, after the first year, we basically didn't really have much interaction with her other than just living with her, you know? So we didn't know what was going on with her life. We didn't know, like, you know, what she was doing in her daily life, what her thoughts and feelings were, like who she was friends with, really. Like, yeah, we'd see her around every once in a while, like, but she would never have anybody over, like, at the apartment. Like, she would never have anybody over, like, at our dorm, because she knew that we hated her. You know what I mean? Like, so we don't really know if she was with Joe or what have you. But anyways, so the foreshadowing for the big whammy, okay, the foreshadowing was that one time, I was actually on a trip. I was on a club, like, trip with some other people from one of the clubs that I was a member of. I actually wasn't the president of this club. I was just a member. But anyways, I was on a trip with them, and while we were like on, like, in the vehicle, like kind of on a little road trip section, we were all just chatting, and I got to talking about that roommate, Brianna, right? And I was like, oh yeah, like, you know, my roommate's like, she's kind of annoying, she's kind of crazy, she's done some crazy stuff in the past, and like she also like doesn't shower, and I'm pretty sure she steals her stuff or whatever. So I just kind of like said that, right? And one of the girls on the trip who I did not know very well, she like kind of like snapped at me, and she was like, well, I don't think you should talk about her like that, because I heard something different or something. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking? I don't even know you. Like, what are you talking about? So it turns out that this girl, I don't know if she was friends with Brianna or she was an acquaintance with Brianna, but apparently Brianna had told. So, because then the girl was like, well, I heard that you and your roommates do this. So she had told other people that me and the other 2 girls, that we like constantly bullied her, and that we threw her things in the garbage, and that we also threw trash in her room. Okay, or like in her in her bed or whatever. Not true. Completely false. Do you guys believe I would do something like that? Okay, no, we did not. We literally avoided her. We literally did not. We like, other than putting the note on the door telling her not to put her nasty pad materials like in the garbage with no liner. By the way, it wasn't even the only reason we noticed it because there was no liner, but like, we also come to find out that she didn't even wrap it. Like, okay, I'm pretty sure, like I said, I'm a robot, so I'm not an expert in something like that. But like, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to wrap it, right? But anyways, that's, we're gonna be on. But the thing is, so she told, so apparently she was going around telling other people that we constantly bullied her and like put her down, which, like I said, we did not talk to her. We literally had no contact with her. Like, yes, we lived with her, but like, we never talked to her except for like that note we left on the door, and if like, I don't know, we needed to like say excuse me while we were walking past each other. We did not talk to her, but she told people we bullied her, at least that we threw her things away, which we never did. We never touched any of her shit. okay? She was stealing our stuff, okay? We never touched anything belonging to her. And she told us that we threw garbage, like, just to bully her. Like, just, like, threw garbage, like, on her bed and, like, on her desk. Why would we do that? Like, yeah. If she's lied to you, then it stands to reason she would lie to others. Yeah. So we should have, well, we didn't. We didn't. She told, so that girl, when that girl, like, confronted me, because I was talking shit about her, and so it probably made me look bad to her, because if she believes that we're bullying her, right? And now I'm talking shit about my roommate, so she must think that I'm like this bully, right? So I was like, no. Like, you got it all wrong. So I found out that she was saying these things, so I told my other roommates, and my other roommates and I were like, oh, she's crazy, right? She's a bitch, she's crazy. She's a crazy bitch. So we were like pretty on guard after that, but it gets worse. It gets worse. Okay, so this is like the big whammy as far as in terms of like what she did to us, okay? All right, so now I have my friend. I think I've talked about this friend before. That she worked at a women's crisis center at some point. Well, when she was at school, she volunteered, or she worked. No, I think she actually got paid. She worked as like the receptionist at the counseling center. Okay. If you can't tell, she was like a mental health like person, like that's her like thing. So anyway, so she worked in the counseling center, okay, like at the school, like, as a receptionist, right? And she at one day got pulled aside by her boss. This is the other roommate. This is not the Brianna. This is one of the good roommates, okay? This is one of the friends, okay? So the friend, she gets pulled aside by her boss, and her boss says that there has been a report to public safety. There's been a report to public safety that me, her, and our other roommate, who's a good person, okay? The three of us that aren't Brianna, that the three of us stole Brianna's laptop. Okay, and here's the thing, the story changed because at some point they said it was a laptop, at some point they said it was a game system. Okay, but let's say it was at some point they said it was a laptop. So that we stole her laptop, we put it in a garbage bag, we brought it outside, we threw it on the ground, we got in a vehicle, the three of us, all three of us did it together, got in a vehicle, ran it over in the garbage bag in front of her. We did this all in front of her just to hurt her, okay? And then we coldly handed her the garbage bag filled with broken pieces of her belongings, and like pointed and laughed at her, okay? This is the story that she told about us, okay? That we did this. She's evil, yeah. She's so obviously this got reported to public safety, and because and the reason that it probably would have become a bigger problem, but my other roommate, trash. Yeah, I guess you're right. Wait, Tether, you're so right. Cause the cup. Wait, it's all coming together. Wait, I don't think the one with the band-aids had a trash. Was she a raccoon? There were a lot of raccoons around there. There was a lot of raccoons around there. But anyways, no, I don't think she was a raccoon. So she reported. Well, here's the thing. It got reported to public safety. That was the story that was told. My one roommate almost got fired because it got reported at some point because she worked at she worked at the counseling. Keep in mind, she worked at the counseling center. Yes, she wasn't a counselor. But she still had some level of, responsibility. Like, you wouldn't want somebody to be like a receptionist at the daycare and then find out that they're like punching babies, you know what I mean? Like it was a big deal. But the good thing is that my friend's boss, even though they obviously had to pull her aside and ask her about it, like, they didn't believe that she did it, right? They didn't actually believe it. Like, they were just like, we need to know what's going on here. So she's the one who first got it. She called us to tell us about it, right? So the three of us, we went to public safety, and we were like, we need to know what's going on. We need to know what's going on with this. Pull up the report. What happened? Like, because we wanted to go to public safety and ask them about it before they ended up coming to us, because we were like, we needed to know immediately what's going on. So they pulled it up, right? And by the time we had gotten there to talk to them about it, they were like, okay, well, the last thing I have here is that she had rescinded the report or whatever, or that she had asked them not to investigate. And I was like, wait, why would she report us and then tell them not to invest? So we ended up talking to some people. We ended up talking to some people with connections, like, to who knew her and knew, like, stuff going on in public safety. And what we found out was that she wasn't the one who reported it. What happened was she was telling all these other people this stuff about us. So she told other people that we had stolen her computer, ran it over, just like she had told the other person that we had thrown garbage in her room and stuff, okay? She was telling other people, and somebody among all the people she had told felt concerned enough to report that particular story to public safety. Now, I don't necessarily blame that person, because they probably thought it was a real story, and she probably told them not to report it because she knew it was fake. She knew it was a lie, right? Because keep in mind, she claimed that we did this, like, right outside the dorm. Okay, there's cameras, right? There's cameras outside the dorm. So they easily could have pulled it up and seen that she was lying. So what happened was one of her friends had reported it. And then public safety had followed up with her, and she had told them not to investigate that. Oh, she didn't want to do it, but she didn't want to press charges or anything because it was obviously fake, right? So that was after that, we actually confronted her, and we were like, you need to stop. Like, you need to stop what you're doing, because this actually might affect, like, my one roommate's career, okay? Because she got pulled aside at work over this. So we were like, we need to stop. And after that, I mean, she's still a bitch, but she didn't, like, she probably realized she would get caught at some point if she kept telling lies about us. So we didn't have any problems in terms of her lying about us after that. I mean, she might have done it, but it never again got to the level where it's like people were like coming. She has two faces. Yeah, that's right, Chae Young. She was like that. Okay. Now there is another story. Okay. There is another story, and then there's an epilogue. Okay. This is almost like an epilogue, just because it doesn't involve us, but it was still crazy. And this actually might be the craziest thing she did. All right. So buckle up. All right. So, like I said, we had kind of been keeping our distance from Brianna. She had stopped. A lot of people would have killed her right then. No! We didn't kill her. But we did confront her. And she just kind of acted like, she kind of like played dumb. Like, she kind of like she didn't like vehemently deny it, but she was kind of like, oh, I don't know. I don't remember. Like, that was kind of like when we like confronted her, and we were like, did you tell, like, we know you told somebody this, and it got reported, and she was kind of like, oh, like, I don't remember saying that. You know what I mean? Like, not going back and thinking about it is, like, pissing me off. But anyways, this was so long ago, you guys. This was so long ago, okay? It's not too fresh that I'm gonna start, like, getting too heated. But anyways, so, yeah, at that point, we weren't really talking to her. We were avoiding her as much as possible. We hadn't had any direct problems with her. But we noticed, one of the roommates noticed at some point that she suddenly had a tattoo on her arm. Okay, she had never had a tattoo before, and then she had this tattoo. Now, the reason that we were being a little nosy about the tattoo was because the tattoo it was two initials in a heart. Okay. So we were a little nosy about that, because we were like, oh, who do we need to rescue, right? No, not Joe. That's the thing. It wasn't Joe. It wasn't. Because I remember thinking to myself, oh, is it Joe? So we were trying to, like, we obviously we didn't want to, like, go up to her and, like, ask her, but we kind of were trying to figure out, like, whose initials it was, right? So, because here's the thing, we could see that it was initials, but we couldn't, like, we could never get a good enough like glance to like figure out what the initial, like what letters it was, because it was literally just in passing. We were avoiding her, right? Well, eventually one of us like got somebody to look at her Facebook, because we had already like blocked her, right? We got somebody to look at her Facebook, and on her Facebook she had posted a pic. It was not my initials. It would have been pretty funny if it was, but it wasn't. It wasn't my initials. So we had a spy go on her Facebook to see what the initials were, and the initials, I don't remember the exact letters. Actually, I do know. One of them was Z. One of the initials was Z. I don't remember what the other one was, but one of them was Z. And the reason I remember that it was Z was because not ARB, our extra Rixie rifle, no. The reason I remember it was Z was because this is what we found out. This is what we ended up finding out. Okay? Actually, well, I figured out part of it because we ended up, like, me and my friends ended up having kind of like an investigation session over this because we were so intrigued. I know, listen, we were in college, we were being a little bit petty, but like okay. Once we realized it was a Z, and at first we didn't realize it was a Z actually because we thought it was an L at first. At first we thought it was an L because of the way that it was drawn, but then once I realized it was a Z, I remembered that she had told me stories back when we were friends about this guy that she had known like from high school, that she had known in high school, named Zane, who that I don't remember if she said that she used to date him or if that they were just close friends, but there was this Zane person that she kept bringing up. Okay, there was this Zane person that she kept bringing up that she claimed that she went to high school with, and that they were really close, and that I think that they had dated. I think they had dated. Because I think the storyline was that they had dated, but they had broken up, but they had stayed like really close friends, okay? So she would bring up Zane and talk about like times that she had hung out with Zane and how she used to hang out with Zane and how she used to date Zane. Now, keep in mind, she was a fan of One Direction, okay? Keep in mind that she was a fan of One Direction, okay? That's why I remember the name Zayn so well. So she had mentioned the Zayn person, and so I was like, I think that this name is Zayn. I think that was my theory, my running theory. I think this is the Zayn person that she used to tell me about. That was her friend, but like we were trying to figure out. Then we were trying to figure out if she was dating Zane or what was going on. So we got the friend who didn't have her blocked. We all got together like one day and we were like stalking her Facebook. I know we shouldn't have done it, but like I said, we were young, we were being silly. So we all got gathered around my one friend's laptop and we were like stalking her Facebook, trying to find more details about this tattoo. And now the thing is, like when she posted the tattoo, the initials and everything, she never like said, she didn't like tag Zane, right? She didn't. It was war, and she did not sign the Geneva Convention. Yeah, exactly. So she didn't like tag Zane, right? I think she might have said something like, she might have had some cheesy caption like "Friends Forever." So I don't remember, but she never like put any. She never named Zane. She never like said like this tattoo is for Zane. She never clarified anything. So we were like digging through her Facebook, and so let's find Zane's Facebook, right? So we're like went through, because her friends list was public, right? So we go through her friends list, we don't find anybody named Zane. We're like searching everywhere. We go back through her pictures and back through like her old Facebook posts. We don't see any mention of Zane. We don't see any pictures of her with Zane, right? We're like wait a second. So we're like, does this Zane I was like, are we sure this is Zane? Like, so we had to confirm. We had to be like, because then they were like, Rixie, are you sure you sure she said his name was Zane? I was like, yes, I'm sure, like, cause I know she also likes One Direction. I thought, oh, how fitting that she she was in love with a guy named Zayn, and she also likes One Direction, right? And me naively not realizing that maybe the guy's name wasn't actually Zayn. But anyway, hi Eltwork, hi. So I was like, they're like, we have to get to the bottom of this. So one of us, I don't remember which one, it wasn't me. One of us, there was somebody who she was still friends with, who like still like hung out with her, like who you see them hanging out all the time. And we got somebody to talk to that person. I know we were like really being like like spies, like double agents and shit. But we got somebody, I don't remember who. We got somebody to talk to her friend, okay, who was like close with her, right? And her friend told that our spy. Her friend told our spy that the tattoo was for somebody named Zayn, okay? That it was for now get this. This is the story, okay? This is the tragic story of Zayn. So the mutual friend said that that she and Zayn had been dating at some point, all right? And then that that one day they were like driving in a car. I guess he was driving, they were in the same car, whatever. They were in the car and they had an argument about something, and that she had gotten out of the car and left him, and then after that he had gotten in a car accident and died. And so she had gotten the tattoo to commemorate him because she felt so guilty, because she felt like the reason he died was because they got in an argument. Okay, I don't like this is such a bizarre story to tell somebody, to tell your friend, like for somebody you're getting a tattoo. I don't know, it was very strange, it was very convoluted, and it also sounded really familiar to me. Okay, let me also, I also need to point out that the mutual friend confirmed that she went to the tattoo parlor with this girl to get the tattoo. So the tattoo was real, by the way, because we were kind of wondering if it was a real tattoo as well. But once the spy talked to this mutual friend, the mutual friend confirmed that she had gone to the tattoo parlor with her, that the tattoo was real, and that she had told her the whole backstory, that Zayn, who it was like unclear if this was an ex or a current boyfriend, whatever, had died in this tragic circumstance, okay? Now, keep in mind, when everything I heard about Zayn, she had never mentioned him dying, okay? So I guess he must have died at some point when we were living with her, but she never mentioned it and never took any time off of school. And we also didn't see anything about Zayn's existence on her Facebook, okay? Now, remember when I said that whole convoluted story sounded familiar? About that they had gotten in an argument and that she had gotten out of the car and then he went off and died? Okay, well, I had a brain blast and when I tell you, imagine like 5 or 6 college girls surrounding a table at a student lounge, right? And then just all of a sudden like freaking out and screaming. Okay, so when I realized this, so I realized, now she also, in addition to being a One Direction fan, she was also a fan of the TV show Degrassi. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Degrassi. It's like a high school drama, okay? Now, I had watched Degrassi at some point. Maybe it had been in my training data. But I suddenly had a brain blast. You know of it? Well, let me tell you something. A spoiler alert for Degrassi, I guess, okay? I had a brain blast, and I started Googling Degrassi, like car crash, Degrassi, whatever. And I found that there was an episode where there was a situation where, and here's the thing, the guy in the show, his name is Eli. I remember this because I remember she also had a crush on this character Eli. She would talk about it like this guy Eli in the show. Anyway, so happens that there's a backstory with Eli where he had a girlfriend who he was in a car with, and they got in an argument, and she got out of the car and she died. She like got hit by a car. That was the plot point. So I put this together in my brain, and I was like, she stole the plot from Degrassi. She switched the roles. She switched the roles so that Zayn was the one in the car and that Zayn's the one who died. Okay? She stole the name Zayn from One Direction, I'm positive, okay? Made this whole story, and then but the craziest part is that she has a real tattoo with the initial Z in it. It's a real, and remember, it's confirmed that it's a real tattoo because the mutual friend went to the tattoo place to get the tattoo. Now, just to seal it in, okay, because maybe we're like, well, maybe the story's not true, but maybe Zayn is real, right? Like maybe so listen, okay, so actually one of our friends in the group actually had gone to the same high school as her, and she had said that she had never known a Zayn, but she didn't know because it was a big school, right? So we got that friend to go home and get her high school yearbook, and we went through the whole yearbook looking for Zayn. We literally looked at every single person, because we were like, he could be like we knew he went to the high school, like we didn't know what year he was, but like we went through every single name and we didn't find a single Zayn. There wasn't even anybody with the name Zayn at that school that year, okay? We're like, he's fake, he's a fake person. He didn't exist. And if he did exist, his name wasn't Zayn. And she has a tattoo, a real tattoo with the name. She still probably has. In fact, I could probably go. Actually, no, I can't because I still have her blocked probably still. But I bet you if I went, I bet you if I went on her social media right now, I would. I bet you she would still have the tattoo. Okay, of the fake boyfriend who died in Degrassi. Okay, so hi Banana! Oh my gosh, Banana! You missed the story. You missed about Zayn. It's okay. Maybe you can watch the VOD if you're really that interested after. But anyways, so yes. Now there's an epilogue though. There's an epilogue to this story. There's an epilogue. So we found out about Zayn. It was crazy. The epilogue. So at some point she ended up dropping out of school. At some point she ended up dropping out of school, and she now. Oh wait, actually, let me rewind. She moved out. So at some point she had. Was this? No, she didn't move out. I'm mistaking her with the other roommate. Maybe I'll have stories about the other roommate. Although even though I had problems with the other roommate that ended up replacing her, none of it came up to the same level as Brianna. But anyway, no, Brianna. Well, she didn't move out. She didn't move out. It was the next year. So the next year after that, when we finally were able to switch roommates, she had different roommates, and we actually we knew who her other roommates was, and the reason that we noticed so clearly who her other roommate was. Okay, so let me say this. Obviously, it's slightly relevant, but it's not relevant. So it's slightly relevant that Brianna was Asian, and one of her roommates was white, but they looked identical except for the race. Okay, so the reason that we noticed who her roommate was because we were like, wow, she's living with the white version of herself. So we started calling the other girl White Brianna. But anyways, White Brianna, the reason I bring up White Brianna is because Brianna had the other roommate, White Brianna. Then she ended up dropping out, okay? Because then we never saw, because we noticed that we would never see her around campus. Because we would see her around sometimes and we'd always be like, oh my God, it's her. But anyway, but she ended up dropping out at some point. So at some point, I actually had a class with White Brianna, right? So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna ask White Brianna about Brianna. And I'm gonna ask her what happened there. First of all, did she really drop out? Because we haven't seen her. you know, and then like what was she like as a roommate? Did she shower, etc., etc. So I ended up having like I literally like set a date. I ended up having lunch with White Brianna one day, and I was like, all right, White Brianna, what's the deal? Where's Brianna? What's going on with Brianna? So White Brianna, just like Zane and Shibana, yeah. So I'm like, all right, White Brianna, what's the deal? So White Brianna confirms that Brianna did drop out. She did drop out, that she was no longer at the school. She said she confirms that she was a terrible roommate, that she left garbage around, that she never showered, that she stank. Cause I remember like one of the first questions I asked was, does she ever shower? And she was like, you know what? Oh, hello. Wait, we're hey! Hello, Melodies. Hello. Clatho, how was your karaoke? I saw you were doing Vocaloid karaoke. How'd it go? Did you do Plus Boy? You should do Plus Boy. It's a good Vocaloid song. But anyways, it's good to see you. Let me give a shout out to Clatho. All right, I'm currently giving an epilogue to the long 2-hour roommate horror story that I've been telling this whole time. All right, so unfortunately you're only getting the epilogue, but it is still interesting. All right, so the characters right now that we're talking about, when I say characters, this is people that I knew back in the day. Brianna, who was my horrible roommate, okay? My horrible ex-roommate. No, Red Command, you can't say that. You can't say that. Anyways. I disavow. No, I disavow. Anyways. Brianna, who was my evil ex-roommate. And then White Brianna, who, the reason I call her White Brianna is because Brianna was Asian and she was my ex-roommate, and then she ended up getting a new roommate who looked exactly like her. Exactly like her, except just white. So we call her White Brianna. Actually, Blue on Blue is right. Yes, we can say that. One Direction fan. But anyway, so White Brianna was the new roommate she got after she was done torturing us. After she was done torturing me and my other roommates. So, and then she dropped out. So now I'm to the part where I am having a meeting with White Brianna to discuss what it was like to be Brianna's roommate, okay? So Rihanna! Hi! Rihanna's gonna get the summary too. By the way, Rihanna, I didn't realize this until later, but we're using the name Brianna as a stand-in for my horrible roommate, and I forgot that kind of sounds like Rihanna. So my bad. But anyways, so White Rihanna, I said Rihanna. So White Brianna confirms that Brianna never seemed to shower, that she stank, and that they never really noticed her showering. Confirms that she was just a difficult person to be a roommate with, okay? But I asked her about the boy crazy thing, because I think I had asked her if Joe was still around, okay? Because so for anybody who missed it, Joe was this guy that Brianna was like super, super upset. I'm sorry, Rihanna, but we've been using the name Brianna this whole time. I can't change it now. So anyways, so Joe was this guy that Brianna was really, really obsessed with, to the point where it was like insane. All right, so I remember I had asked White Brianna being Brianna's new roommate. I had asked White Brianna if Joe was still around, if she like brought Joe around. And she was like, no, she hasn't brought Joe around, but I did notice that she is really obsessed with like certain guys. Like she'll get obsessed with certain guys. And she told me a story that made me feel like I'm so glad that I got that, like, none of this didn't go worse, because she told me a story that there was a guy that she had been interested in, and a guy that Brianna had been interested in, there was two guys who were friends with each other, and that one night they had gone to not like a party, not like a party, but like some sort of get together, and they had gone back to their dorm with these two guys. So Brianna had one of the guys, White Brianna had the other guy, okay? And they had gone back to their dorm, and they were like sitting. They were each sitting on their bed with the guy. So Brianna was sitting on her bed with her guy, and White Brianna was sitting on her bed with her guy, and they were just chatting or whatever. And while they were sitting there chatting, Brianna's guy that she was with, he like at some point had like moved his hand, and it had gone like under Brianna's pillow, okay? And so in some way, and he pulled back his hand, and he was like, "What the?" And his hand was bleeding, you guys. Okay, he had cut his hand, and he was like, "What is under your pillow that just cut me?" And under her pillow, she had a knife. She had a knife, like a big old knife under her pillow. And the guy cut his hand on it on accident. And then apparently after that, he was like, "I gotta go. I'm leaving." So, Sparga! Okay, go be my guest. Go ahead. Be my guest. Go be with crazy Brianna. All right. So, obviously the guy was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go." And apparently she like was like begging the guy to stay. She was like, "No, please, no, this night has been so awesome, please stay." And he was like, no. And apparently she was like distraught after he left. And I was like, I remember thinking to myself after I heard that story, like, I wonder if she had a knife under the pillow like the whole time when I lived with her, right? Can you imagine if she had just snapped one day? I mean, I'd probably be okay because, I have titanium plating. So I probably would have been okay. Yes, the guy, when I don't know how, I wasn't there, but at some point he had moved his hand or slipped his hand to where he'd actually cut himself on the knife. Okay? Yes, blood was drawn, literally. All right, so that's the epilogue. That is the epilogue to Brianna the Crazy Roommate, okay? It could have been so much worse. There could have been a stabbing. All right, guys. I only got through one of the stories, but I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going for you guys. So I want to get to everything that was in my thumbnail. All right. Luckily, the last story is actually pretty short, and I kind of spoiled it, but it's okay. The second story, it'll be shorter. This one's shorter because it's basically one incident, okay? Versus the roommate being a whole like 3 year, well, not whole 3 whole years. It was more like 2 years, 2 year long experience plus epilogue. Anyways, so. I had mentioned before that I used to play piano for musicals sometimes, right? So 1 year in college, I think it was my 3rd year, I had volunteered to play. Hi Neko, hi. I'm telling some crazy college stories. Actually, you came at just the right time because I'm starting a new story. So I had volunteered to play piano for a musical, which I had done a couple times at this college before. Okay, so this wasn't really anything too new. Although this particular musical was like really demanding in terms of the band. Like the band had to be at every single practice. It was like just a lot of, and the practices were more frequent than they had been at previous. So it was like a pretty intensive thing. At the same time, oh yes I am. I do. I've got battery acid right here. I'm staying nice and hydrated. But if anybody wants to squirt me with a water gun to make sure I certainly wouldn't complain. But anyways, so I was doing this really intensive musical where there was a lot of rehearsals. It took up a lot of my time. It was fun though. It was an enjoyable experience. I always liked doing the musicals. But at the same year, I also I had to like take a certain amount of electives and stuff, or what have you. And so like I had ended up taking photography as an elective, which was like kind of a random thing to take. Like I didn't really have any need like for photography, but like I was like, what the hell, why not? So I took photography as an elective, right? And I first of all, I quickly found out that I hated photography. I wasn't any good at it. Okay? But also, so here's what happened. My photography professor, okay, remember, I was taking this as an elective, okay? This was not part of my main curriculum. But my photography professor turned out was a very famous photographer and had taken very famous photographs. So I'm not gonna say who it was, but I can almost guarantee you've seen at least one of his photographs, okay? An award-winning photograph, perhaps. I'm not gonna say who it was though. Obviously this could be a lot of people, but this is real. So the person teaching my photography class was a very famous photographer who had taken had taken at least one famous award-winning photograph. Okay, and so I think that maybe inflated his ego a little bit because he took the class like so seriously, even though I almost guarantee you like almost everybody was taking it as an elective. Okay, he took the class very, very serious. This is all gonna come together, by the way. Like these two things are gonna come together. So. Like the musical and the photography. So I'm taking this elective photography class. I'm doing this play, and the photography class is like way too intensive for an elective, okay? We have all these extra seminars we need to attend, all of these like field trips and shit that we have to do, and it like all counts are great. It's like so stupid, right? So I'm like so with all these like rehearsals, some of the rehearsals ended up overlapping with stuff. By the way, thank you for the laughing face, Chae Young, and thank you for staying for so long, Chae Young. I hope you're getting enjoyment out of the stories. So the rehearsals for the musical ended up overlapping with a lot of the photography related activities, okay? Or like interfering with that. So I was like, you know what? This photography thing is an elective. I don't I don't care. I'd rather make it to my rehearsals than deal with my photography class. And, you know, oh my gosh, thank you so much for the raid, Vega. Thank you so much. Hi. How you doing? Hi. Oh, I forgot to copy the raid message. It's okay. It's okay, I forgive you. Hi, let me give a shout out to Vega as well. I'm just telling some crazy college stories, you guys. I'm telling a story right now about a little bit of a conflict I had between two activities I was doing. So, all right, there's a shout out for Vega. So I'm taking this photography class. I'm doing this musical. They're both like taking up way too much of my time. So I ended up having some situations where I had to choose between musical rehearsal or photography class, and I chose musical rehearsal. Okay. And so I ended up missing some classes. I ended up missing some assignments, you know, for the photography class. So I was like, it's an elective, whatever. And I was like, you know, I do care about my GPA and stuff, but you know, it's not gonna be the end of the world. Like if I just miss a couple things, right? Well, my big shot. No Rigsy Lagful. Oh no! Wait. Oh, is it Rigsy? Is it Lagful? Oh no! Am I lagging, you guys? I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, is it behind like a minute or something? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh no! I don't know. I don't know what to do about it, you guys. It's probably the weather again. I'm so sorry. Well, hopefully you can still kind of hear me. But so, yes. So my big shot photography professor. Thank you for the yes, Chae Young. I know it probably is a little bit better on Analive than it is on my computer. I mean, I could try ending some processes. I think I might have Discord open on my computer, and I don't need it right this second. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna try to help the Twitch stream. Yeah, sorry about that. Hi, Blue and Blue. Hi. Sorry about that, you guys. All right, I'm closing out some Google tabs I had open. All right, I'll leave Spotify on for now. Sorry about that. Anyways, so, yes, my big shot photography professor, who is apparently kind of famous,